Welcome to TradeTheMBA.com. This is John. This report is for the 8th of August, and well, feels like I've been out forever. I barely remember finishing Monday's videos and stuff before that fever caught me, and I was COVID infected, so to speak. And now I'm on the back end of it and doing somewhat better, but uh, clearly I was not in a condition to be able to do any video reports during that time. So uh, brief pause, but not a whole lot changed. There's still this constant back and forth with Trump. Maybe he's going to meet Putin. Maybe he's going to do more tariffs. Latest one is, with the Swiss and gold bullion. There's a lot of dynamics happening in there. Um, but really strange from a reading standpoint when you look at it from a shakeout viewpoint. And that, I mean, that's just a complete breakdown to zero and then just slight return back up right at that key threshold here if uh, DOC on the green, if it continues to rise above the cyan, then you'd have that crossover. That would be significant. From a plus side move, you already have magenta over yellow. So from a bull standpoint, it's enough to just hold on. Um, but it seems like there's a lot of tension. So, that's that wall of fear that typically it's climbed because it's really easy to short, but without an actual impetus to drive things lower. And of course, one could argue that the labor numbers coming out not being helpful, but Powell still being incalcitrant, and what to make of that. Of course, I've always argued that they should have gotten rid of the Bureau of Labor Statistics individuals anyway, since they were constantly completely off the mark every single month. I mean, it was just a bit ridiculous. Um, and everyone predicted the job revisions and things like that. So it wasn't like it was complete shock, but people still rely on those numbers for trade. And I've suggested not to, but you don't have choice because it's what everyone else is doing. So you've got to go with, what moves the market. Well, say levy. We'll see what it ends up. Of course, they're going to claim it's manipulated or whatever, but okay. Uh, Tell us something we don't already know. I mean, it's one thing to be manipulated, but just to have completely ridiculous numbers coming out, which is what we saw for the last 4+ years, was crazy. From an NQ standpoint, slightly better than the S&P. You can see that that's clearly already shown, made this move, and it's already got the improved shakeout. So, but this shows a bit of, when I say it's a little strange, when you look at most of these declines, it's pretty even. You don't normally go from a very strong upward bias to boom, instant weakness, and then, start to ebb back. And that shows a little fracture in what you might want to call strength. From a treasury standpoint, still relatively ugly. The market is betting on those rate cuts. Whether or not the Fed's going to deliver or not is a different issue. Oil still not doing anything productive. You're still in that range where it's not killing anything. It's not helping anything either. It hasn't altered the fact that the people are still jumping for joy over the euro. Bizarre, but that's fine. Germany's still got major issues, and it's only getting worse for them. Uh, but hey, the EU is going to be the new weapons leader. Yay. Nah, it's just one of those. It's a situation where they still believe the U.S. is going to suffer dramatically from higher inflation and that because of tariffs. And you can't convince these people they're wrong. And there's no point in even trying to. You don't have to. Because it's not the point. The point is that from their standpoint, the narrative is more important than any reality. So you just go with what they're doing. Now, from a gold standpoint, you can see that it was a nice move. Uh, really, with this idea again built into the fact that tariffs everywhere, that means inflation. Again, try to explain to me how, if you have the choice between buying cheddar cheese or Swiss cheese, and Swiss cheese is now twice as expensive as it was, why you just don't buy cheddar even though you prefer Swiss. Now, some people will say, I don't mind, I'll pay the extra because I really want Swiss with my turkey. Others will say, I don't care, I would rather buy the cheaper cheddar. I mean, there's no inflation in that. That's just a choice. So This is the foolishness. We can't get around it now. If you didn't have a choice and had to buy only Swiss, yeah, then it's inflationary. Can you make it any more simple than that? From a Bitcoin standpoint, we're holding on. Actually, facing some potential weakness there. Some of that super hype excitement faded off a little bit, and it's kind of shifted towards ETH. And for obvious reasons, with the stablecoin idea and everything, that starting to take control of the situation and the narrative. Seems like something that's being supported. And I know that Trump was even talking about 401ks and that being able to hold cryptos and everything else. So that's another bonus. So what we had during my illness time was just a brief period of troughing right here above 50%, a little peak, and then the fade off. It was all clear from this case, the MBI white spike. You didn't have much of an MBI white move, even though it was above magenta in this particular case. You're not getting a spike, and that's what you look for. Is you look for that strong upward action that really signals a strong move. And in this particular case, you already had below the 33, so it was already in a weakness mode, and then it just slowly crossed over. A lot of that was that steal under the negative 13.5, but as you can see, completely reset from that point. So it was just a matter of waiting for that crossover, and boom, that's where we're at right now. And of course, it's taking the long from that short setup. So beautiful from the longs and the short, and back to the long setup. It's all clean. It wasn't conscious enough to be able to figure any of that stuff out during the time. But from an ES5 minute chart here, we can look that it's just been, again, that option situation. Of course, now I can't even believe we're already talking about the end of the week. We should have more volatility for that to stand the option period. And we look at it from the EU session, the Asian session was fairly decent. I don't even know what day I'm in there. Let me go all the way to the end here so we can work our way backwards. There we go. That's a better shot of it. And there it was. I mean, that was pretty dramatically clear. There wasn't a whole lot of activity required in there, but they reversed it all right after. So again, this is just that back and forth call to put action cancels itself out and still looking for an edge. And until we get some kind of commitment from the Fed one way or another, or definitive readings economically that indicate that things are more negative, at least than the numbers that came out. It'll be an interesting one because it seems like it's more of a narrative game again, and who's going to come out on the PR end of it to the plus side seems to be more relevant than anything at this particular stage, which is interesting for markets. But it's always been about buying the rumor and selling the news. But it's interesting when even data can't be used confidently because it's so altered. But we've seen that coming for some time. So, as always, anything relevant, I will put it on our team chat. I'll be hopefully back at it completely better, I hope, by Monday. We'll see. Trade well. Have a good one.